Fellow Guyanese, good afternoon. I'm pleased to be back online with you as we continue to examine the evolution of Guyana's development. Yesterday, we examined the period in our history when we had to overcome severe macroeconomic challenges, severe developmental challenges, when our country was broken, our democracy was broken, the different sectors were broken, and we had to, through strong policy formulation, through very proactive policy formulation, we had to develop a country and rebuild a country from zero to a situation in 2014 when we handed a country that was viable, sustainable, one that was resilient, one that had reclaimed great prominence internationally. During the 4 years of the last government, we know that our country development was not only stymied, but more importantly, a number of important progressive steps and development that our country would have undergone retarded or went backward. Now, I want to examine the year 2022. The year 2022 was no doubt a very challenging year globally. And when I say challenging year, from many perspectives, our global environment, the global environment in which Guyana operated over the year 2022 was one that required steady hands, one that required policy formulation and measures that were aimed at mitigating the full pass-on effect of global issues, which includes the high inflation rate, high cost of living, the increased cost of food prices, shortages of food products on the international market, shortage of grains, supply chain crisis, logistics, increased shipping costs, all of which, of course, impacted Guyana severely, all of which had a severe impact on our economy and a severe impact on the world itself. The impact of all the totality of this crisis in the global environment, no doubt, added external pressures and shock on our economy here. Notwithstanding these severe economic shocks, Guyana was able to withstand in a very dynamic way as a result of the initiatives, the policies, the type of measures that the government implemented that brought stability to our internal system and ensured that the full pass-through shock of the global crisis did not impact the lives of the people of our country. So now, as I speak to you today, we have to also remember that in 2022, not only were we overcoming, and we're still overcoming, the consequences of COVID-19, and when I say we, not only Guyana, but the global community. But what is becoming very interesting and worrisome is the re-emergence of the pandemic and the consequences as a result of that re-emergence. We see what is happening in China. For instance, we see what is happening in the US, in Canada, with what is termed now the triple-demic. And the consequence of this new emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic is worrisome, and we have to take that into account of our planning as we move forward. Now, outside of the challenges of the pandemic, of course, we had many climate-related events globally. 2022 has been a very active year in relation to natural disasters here in Guyana. We had a number of floods that affected us at national scale. Notwithstanding all of these international pressure, we were able to reduce the impact or the pass-through effect of the inflation, the cost of living crisis, the food crisis, and keep prices relatively stable when you look at what is happening around us. When you look at what is happening around us and you look globally, you'll see double and triple digit inflation. Our management of the inflation and inflationary pressure and cost of living was not by accident. It was by very careful planning and a very robust system in terms of our expenditure profile and spending in the right areas. Amid all of these global challenges, what we saw was that Guyana's economic performance in 2022 was not only remarkable, but it is one that is worth a study. The IMF, for example, projects us to grow at 57.8% for 2022. If you look at the country that is second to us, as the second fastest growing economy as projected by IMF, that is Fiji, and look at their numbers, we are growing at 4.5 times more than that country, more than Fiji, which is projected to grow at 12.5%. Now, one may rightfully say that a lot of this growth and development has to do with the oil sector. Yes, that is true. But we should also examine our non-oil performance. And if we look at our non-oil performance, Guyana economic growth would have still ranked 5th in the world. Our non-oil, if you take out oil, without oil, our economic growth would still rank 5th in the world as the fastest growing economy in the world in 2022. That tells a lot. That tells a lot because it now shows the result of the redirection of government policies from subjecting the population to more than 200 plus taxes, investing in the productive sector, supporting agriculture, supporting mining, supporting logging, supporting manufacturing, supporting the expansion of the economy and the growth of the economy and the generation of employment. What we have seen outside of oil, we would have also been the 5th fastest growing economy. And this is based on our half-year projection for 2022, which showed our non-oil economy growing at 9.5%. Now, these rankings that I'm speaking about are based on the IMF World Economic Outlook done in October 2022. And in October 2022, from the IMF ranking, the World Economic Report, October 2022, Guyana non-oil growth source came from the Ministry of Finance figure in our half-year report. So if you look at our projected growth for 2022, according to the World Economic Report, is 57.8%, Fiji 12.5%, Kuwait 8.7%, Maldives 8.7%. In the region, we have St. Kitts and Nevis projected to grow at 9.8%, and of course Guyana non-oil at 9.5%. Now, let us take a look at the different sectors and to see the growth profile, the projection in terms of the growth profile for 2022. The bauxite, for example, the growing of, let's start with agriculture, other crops, because we have been investing a lot in agriculture. Other crops is projected to grow at 17.9%. Quarrying and mining is projected to grow at 11%. And this is still operating below par as to what the demand for quarry material would be. Our construction sector, 19%. Wholesale and retail trade, 12.5%. Because there is greater spending power in the economy. There is more resources available. And whilst all of this is happening, our non-performing loans, that is people who cannot afford to service their loans, is declining rapidly. Transport and storage, 13%, is projected to grow at 13%. Accommodation and food services is projected to grow at 18%. These are as a direct result of the confidence in the economy, of more medium and small size enterprises investing in a diversified portfolio. And this is also important when we look at what people call a Dutch disease, to show that other segments of the economy, the diversification of our economic portfolio is holding strong. And whilst oil is bringing in the much needed revenue, the measures by the government targeted at expansion of the other economic sector and diversifying the economic pillar, broadening the economic pillar of our country is showing direct result. It is showing results that the policy formulation and the measures are working in achieving the type of economy we want to achieve. Whilst we have done all of this, Guyana has also managed to keep its inflation in single digit. Guyana inflation is projected to be around 7%, which is below the global inflation rate, according to the IMF. So even our inflation rate is projected to be below the global inflation rate. So from a macroeconomic perspective, looking at our macroeconomic fundamentals in 2022, notwithstanding the complex international environment we are operating in, we have seen the true result of the policies and measures adopted by the People's Progressive Party civic government. Now, if we look at what is happening in different sectors, as I mentioned just now, the growth rate in the different sectors, we would see that there is renewed energy, there is renewed optimism, there is renewed investment in the manufacturing and construction sector, the extractive sector, the productive sector, in agriculture, in agro-processing, in the production of sugar. And as a result, because of what took place in this sector, the level of neglect and decay that took place in this sector, the last 2 years was really spent on rebuilding the architecture, the framework that supports the upliftment and development of these sectors. So in the coming years, we will see in a greater sense the impact of the investments we are making in the different sectors. And as we're talking about cost of living issues, I also want us to look at commodity prices. Consumer prices at the end of the first half of this year were 4.9% higher than the levels recorded at the end of 2021. And this was due largely to the food and energy, the rise in the food and energy prices. So at the end of the first half of this year, 4.9% consumer prices was 4.9% higher than the levels recorded at the end of 2021. Over the course of the year, the government implemented a number of measures to ease the burden on the population. And I can go through all the measures that we implemented in 2022 to ensure that there was that a full pass-on effect on the consumer as a result of these global challenges was mitigated. The overall balance for the central government after grants is expected to record a deficit. And that, of course, is understandable. The Natural Resource Fund, government is expected to have 13 lifts of profit oil this year. And Guyana is now projected to earn over $1 billion as revenue from the sale of our share of profit oil and over $150 million in royalty in 2022. Those are the projections at the macroeconomic level. I want us to turn our attention now to some of the things that we have done in the last year at the community level and in different sectors that is setting the stage for the building of a strong, sustainable, resilient economy 2030 and beyond. Now allow me to highlight some of the major transformative achievements and milestones during 2022 of the government. During this year, we have seen the transformation of the infrastructural landscape of Guyana and the social welfare improvement across all sectors. Let us look, for example, at bridges. To improve commute nationwide, and this includes our hinterland communities all across Guyana. We built and maintained more than 183 bridges in 2022 along the coastal and hinterland areas. Since August 2020 to 2022, since we came into government from August 2020 to 2022, we have built a total of 351 bridges across Guyana. Of this total, 45 are of international standard, 45 are designed in accordance with internationally acceptable standards, and these bridges are being constructed on the Mabura alignment, paving the way for a highway from Linden to Lethem. In roads, we have constructed and maintained a total of 1,651 kilometers of roads in the year 2022. 1,651 kilometers of road in the year 2022. From 2020 to the end of 2022, since we assumed government, we have built and maintained more than 3,670 kilometers of roads. This gives you an idea of the magnitude of work that we have done at the national level, at the community level, at the regional level. Notwithstanding the severe challenges with shortages of construction material, shortage of labor, the imported inflation, notwithstanding the totality of all of these challenges, we have been able to do this. If you look at sea defenses, in the face of rising sea levels, we have maintained 81.8 kilometers of sea and river defenses and structures, and we have constructed 5.4 kilometers of new sea defenses. This is the investment we have been making. This year, we have also contracted works on 4 hinterland airstrips at Etteringban, Ikiriku, and Kaichor. Those are 3 of the areas. As a result of our investment in tourism and the positioning of Guyana as an important ecotourism destination, but also a destination that is events-based, what we have seen at the Chedijagan International Airport alone to date, we have processed close to 658,000 passengers. This is an increase of 78% over 2021 of passenger movement. An increase of 78% from 2021 of passenger movement. This tells you a story that the name Guyana, I was just going through, this year alone, Guyana had more than 110 international headlines all across the world. Our country, out of which more than 90% were positive headlines. This is no doubt positioning Guyana in a very positive frame. And as we continue to build our tourism product, we continue to get the new hotels coming on stream, and we continue to build new events, for example, the Cricket Carnival. We expect to push closer to that 1 million arrival mark. We have seen the highest number of international arrivals in a single month of September, with 31,050 historic numbers during the Cricket Carnival. Since assuming office, in just 2 years, we have added 3 new carriers to the market. We had 4 before, only 4 we had before. We have added 3 new carriers. And in the new year, we expect at least 2 more carriers coming on stream. The remarkable trend can also be seen in the Guyana-Suriname border ferry. In the Guyana-Suriname border, the ferry service, we have processed 32,894 passengers who entered Guyana. This is an increase. This 32,894 passengers we processed coming through our border with Suriname, coming through the ferry services, represent a 338% increase when compared to 2021. A 338% increase at that crossing when compared to 2021. And as I said, a 78% increase at the Chedijagan International Airport when compared to 2021. And at Ogle, the Eugene Correa International Airport at Ogle, we processed 26,928 passengers. A 69% increase when compared to 2021 in a single year. A 69% increase. What this tells you? This tells you about a country that is on the move. This tells you of a country that is attractive. That a country that people want to go to. And it tells you about a set of policies and measures that are bringing the results, that are delivering the results for our country and our people. And people want to come to a safe environment. We want to live in a safe environment. And we have been investing heavily on security, improving our security architecture and ensuring our security landscape is second to none. As a result of the measures and the policies and investment that we have made in security, what we have seen in 2022 is a decline of 19.5% in serious crime. A decline in serious crimes of 19.5%. But much more important is that our detection rate for murder is at an all-time high this year of 80%. That is our ability to solve murders. It is at an all-time high and among the highest in the region and globally at 80%. This is as a direct result of our investment in strong policies and good policing, and I must commend our men and women in uniform. These are the numbers. This is the result of the investments that we are making that I want the population to understand. Because we must know that the investment we are making as a country, the investment we are making as a people, is bearing the necessary fruit that will take our country forward. If we look at housing, in keeping with our campaign promise to distribute 50,000 house lots, and mind you, a lot of people doubted this. By the end of 2025, this year we have made tremendous progress with the issuance of more than 10,500 house lots. Bringing the total since we took office, the total allocation since we took office to 20,000 house lots. So we did 10,000, more than 10,500 this year, and in 2 years, our allocation is more than 20,000. Well on our course of achieving that 50,000 target. Over the past year, we've also ramped up our investment in the education sector to attain some key goals. This year, more than 196,000 children across our nation benefited from the 30,000 cash grant. All primary school children received textbooks, and our breakfast program was expanded for all grade 6 students. All grade 6 students. As a result of this, as a result of our investment, we have seen the largest training cohort of teachers admitted into the Cyril Potter College of Education. Some 2,000 teachers are now being trained through the GOLD program in various disciplines. We continue our program to construct schools in 14 locations across the country. As a result of the higher enrollment rate, as a result of more children going to school, what we are seeing is that there is now a greater need for physical infrastructure. And at 14 locations across the country, we are building and expanding schools. To ensure a sound higher education is attainable in far-flung communities, 96% of all the Amerindian villages have been provided with TV, solar, and satellite, and therefore have access to the Guyana Learning Channel and radio. This is our commitment in ensuring equity, in ensuring all our citizens have equal access, in ensuring that there is no disparity gap, in ensuring that we bridge the divide. Very targeted investment. As a result of these investments, what have we seen? We have seen Guyana again topping the region in all subject areas. We have seen our children performing at a higher rate, at higher level. More of our young people earning degrees and diplomas and masters. This is in keeping with our plan of having a highly skilled and developed human resource pool. You look at pensions. In 2022, more than 67,000 pensioners not only received their pensions in the administrative regions, but received also that special one-month one-off payment. Outside of all of this, of course, people living with disability were able to benefit from an annual grant. Our children living with disability are now going on a permanent register to get their monthly support. We are rebuilding hospitals, regional hospitals, district hospitals, health huts, training doctors and nurses, increasing their salaries, because we are targeting a healthcare system that is second to none. We want our people, the Guyanese people, to have the best possible health care. In the new year, we want the diaspora to be more critically involved in the developmental aspect and projects of our country. So we'll be pursuing special models through which they can invest their resources into different projects in Guyana, through which we can build consortium so that the private sector can grow and the diaspora can be part of this growth and development. As a result of the investment we have made over the last 2 years and in 2022, Guyana has now entered a new era. And with this new era, of course, we'll face new challenges. But your government is prepared to confront these challenges. We are prepared to confront these challenges, and not only confront these challenges, but to lay the bedrock in which Guyana can be the forerunner, can be the front runner in a number of areas regionally and globally. That is where we want to position Guyana. Making the investment to deliver a Guyana 2030 and beyond that will be a leader in food security, a leader in energy security, a leader in climate services, a leader in ecological services, a leader in biological services, environmental services, technological services, health services, educational services, manufacturing. That is what we are building. An economy that stands on a very wide base and not only competitive internally, but an economy 2030 and beyond that is sustainable, resilient, and competitive in a global environment. That is what we are building. And my government, this government, is focused on this transformation for 2030 and beyond, where our economy will be broad-based and built, yes, using the revenue, the much-needed revenue from the hydrocarbon sector to make us competitive and to make these sectors competitive, but building it in such a way that the economy will be diversified and sitting on a very broad platform. The major infrastructural transformation in our country, many major infrastructure is going on in our country. Our environment is changing, our landscape is changing, our skyline is changing. The East Bank, the East Coast, is seeing tremendous transformation. The opening up of new highways, going on to the new city, Silica City. The road link between Guyana and northern Brazil, connecting Guyana and Suriname by bridging the Quarantine River. The establishment of a special development authority, the establishment of a special development zone with tax concession, the development of a duty-free zone, the building out of the gas sector, the fertilizer plant, LNG, manufacturing, agro-processing, investing in a refinery to ensure national security when it comes to energy. The Miles Fall Hydro Project. These are all part of that transformative agenda that will not only reduce the cost of energy and increase our percentage of energy that we generate from a renewable source, but position Guyana as a strong energy capital within the Guyana Shield Energy Corridor and within the region itself. That is what we are doing. The building of new shore-based facility, a deepwater harbor. This is the framework. These are the investments we are making to ensure that Guyana is resting on a solid foundation that will build an economy 2030 and beyond that is second to none. And we are not just talking these things. We have already embarked on a series of action to achieve this. Looking at what we've already done, US $260 million contract awarded for the new Demerara River Bridge, $190 million starting the Mabura Hill to Linden Mabura Hill Road, US $160 million for the building of the new highway, billions of dollars for the new highway from Schoonard to Crane. All of this started from Eccles going all the way to Diamond, and designing now Diamond going to Busby Dam and Busby Dam to Land of Canaan. Commencing the work on the expansion of the new 4-lane highway from Sherry Street going all the way to Unity, beyond Unity. The new highway from New Amsterdam going to Molson Creek. Work has commenced on all of this. Hundreds of millions of US dollars of investment to open up new land, expand the infrastructure landscape, and create the infrastructural basis through which the economy will expand and grow. The construction of the Quarantine River Bridge. This process is coming to a conclusion. The new Linden-Soos Dyke Highway. All of these are investment that are already on the way. Already on the way. And this is the first time in our history that we have the widest portfolio of international partners. UKEF, the UK, Austria, the US, Exim Bank, China, Brazil, India, Canada. The widest array of international partners we have been able to attract in this transformation. Brazil in this transformative agenda that we are pursuing. Outside of all of this, billions of dollars spent on community infrastructure. The statistics show that there was a 22% increase in lending to the private sector. This is important. The confidence is not only at the central government level. What we have seen is that lending to the private sector has increased by 22%. Building a country in which we'll have modern school system, every school having a smart hospital, all our teachers becoming trained teachers, a new children and maternal hospital. We'll have 4 level 5 hospitals in our country. That is the highest level of health care you can ever achieve. Supported by a number of level 3 regional hospitals. These are the investments we are making. I would want to stop here. And in the next segment, in the new year, the first day of the new year, we will then take this conversation forward and position it in Guyana 2030 and beyond to demonstrate how these investments would result in an economy that is strong, resilient, sustainable, diversified, highly functional, and one that will deliver the prosperity to every single home. God bless all of you. In Guyana, in the diaspora, in our global community, I want to say to you, my prayers and love and thoughts are with you. We are together on this journey of development, together one Guyana. Let us just walk away from all the nonsensical conversation. Let us equip ourselves with the facts. Let us work in a very positive, forward-looking manner. Let us support each other. Let us support the private sector. Let us support the manufacturing sector. Let us support every Guyanese in this charge of building a strong, resilient Guyana in which prosperity will come to every home. To the members in the diaspora, we love you. We want you to be part. You must invest. We're going to set up special vehicles, special projects that you can invest in the new year. God bless you. Stay safe. I wish you a new year that is filled with good health, prosperity, and happiness. I'll be talking to you later tonight as we ring in the new year. And early first day in the new year, we'll be talking 2030 and beyond. Thank you and God bless you.